In the PA Power Podcast. We got another setup here for you tonight. We're going live again on social media to talk a little bit about some things going on in wrestling, specifically Pennsylvania wrestling. As well as I do, we just recently dropped our top 250 of the class of 2021. So that was a big one for us with a lot of high profile names on there. I'm looking forward to going over that a little bit. Talking a little bit about the Flow card coming up on this Saturday. We're probably going to dive into some of the drama going on in Flow. We're going to talk about the weight classes and how Pennsylvania decided to drop from 14 to 13 weight classes. And, that affects you, Dyson. You're heading into high school. First off, we don't even
Yeah,
know if there's going to be a high school season. Let's be honest.
hopefully there is.
Are you,
Fingers.
are you confident?
Ah, you know, I'd like. I think so. They said the fall sports are going to start on time, and I think they're gonna get like halfway through fall sports, and then cases are gonna jump or something, and then they're gonna shut everything down, and then that'll shut down winter sports too. But hope not. I hope not.
I don't want you to lose a year of eligibility.
No, that would
Well,
suck.
you need all 4 years. But at least when you come in as a sophomore, you're going to be like a lot stronger. Your voice has already dropped even more from the last time I talked to you, so you're probably going to be like
Yeah.
152 pounds your sophomore year now because you're on some type of growth plan. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. It's so uncertain right now, and I think the PIAA obviously is looking to really push fall sports to start. I listened in to Dr. Lombardi at the PIAA, and he was very adamant that unless the governor like shuts them down, they're gonna have fall sports. So I believe we're at least gonna have fall sports, and then kind of see where things go from there. But obviously, with like the PSAC, they're canceling fall semester sports, so that really impacts wrestling. I think that's pretty bad news for wrestling as a whole. Um, do you agree? I think that's the writing's on the wall there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I think all uh all college sports will go to, and I'm surprised high school hasn't went to that yet. But as we said, they said fall sports will go on as planned. I'm kind of thinking most people would do starting in January, like the PSAC did.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. Closer to home for us at PA Power Wrestling, the surge is up in the air. We're really hoping to have the surge. We are kind of like the PIAA. We're gonna unless something major happens, we are planning on having the surge. Just the location is to be determined. We're looking in November, possibly kind of like we did the last 2 years. Just kind of depends on the way the coronavirus and the impact of COVID and how that's going to do some things to the rest of society, especially with sports. So I'm looking forward to just seeing wrestlers back on the mat um, in whatever capacity we can. Right, Dyson?
Yeah, I saw there's a couple of tournaments. There's a tournament going on the last couple of days up in South Dakota, I believe. A couple teams up there. A Seabolt team from Iowa had some hammers up there, and I think there's actually supposed to be in here in the finals. There's supposed to be J.K. Oliver's Adam Allard, two
Oh wow,
hammers from Iowa.
yeah. I saw IA Wrestle tweeting out a bunch of results, so I figured Iowa had some pretty good wrestlers going into that. Um, our Pennsylvania wrestlers haven't really been able to do a whole lot, so we haven't really been able to talk about them. But what we could talk about, Dyson, and that's the top 250 of the class of 2021, which are going to be rising seniors this year. Dyson, let's go through and kind of dissect a little bit without going, without giving away too much. But let's start at the top. And Lenny Pinto sits there at number one, and he's already committed to Nebraska. He was a state champ last year. He won arguably the best weight class in the PIAA double A last year, winning the 170-pound AAA state title over at least three other nationally ranked guys. That to me, really solidified where he is. To go along with his performance in Fargo last year, I think that coupled with just what he's been able to do during the season and his off season, I think that really propels him to one of the top spots. This one is a little tough though because I would say there's not. I hate this. There's not like a Spencer Lee or even a Bo Bartlett type guy here where it's like the clear number one. Um,
Yeah.
I'd say there's a couple guys that could probably make an argument that they could be up in that top rank. Would you agree?
Yeah, like I'm looking at it right now. Top three to maybe even could make an argument for possibly Kaib, but top definitely probably top three could have an argument for being number one. Like you said, there's no really standout guy, but I think he did a good job there putting Pinto number one. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean Pinto, just what he was able to do in Fargo last year was really incredible. His stock went really through the roof um, in Fargo last year. At number two, you have Gary Steen. Very interesting pick there at number two because Gary was coming off a season where he was a state champion as a freshman and then took third as a sophomore, being upset in the early rounds at states, but bounced back to take third. Last year, of course, he had some really tough matches with Unger from Notre Dame GP and also with Joey Fisher, two guys that are also here. They find themselves in the top 20. You look at what Gary Steen was able to do throughout the season. He was an Ironman champ. He was a Powerade champ, and he was a state champ. So you win three of the toughest tournaments, arguably in the nation. I think that pretty much says a lot about you.
Yeah, yeah. Steen was like you said, very impressive last year. Those matches with Unger, the way he was able to make adjustments after losing the second one, and then to come back and win the third match at states in the semis. He was real impressive last year, like you said, winning the three biggest, arguably the biggest in-season tournaments of the year. And yeah, definitely got to give number two to Steen.
I would argue that number three could probably make a case to be possibly one and two as well, and that's Wyatt
Yeah,
Henson from Waynesburg,
go Hawks.
by way of Missouri, right? Yeah, we know Dyson. He's going to Iowa. We get it. You once again, you have your Iowa glasses on. Are you
I
gonna
got my
call?
Iowa hat and shirt.
I believe you do. I'm
There's a
surprised you don't
flag there,
replace
towel there,
that
pictures, poster.
that PA Power Wrestling. Do you just want me to buy you a Iowa backdrop instead?
Oh, I got one over there in case this one like breaks or like get a little stain on it. There's a backup one over there.
You're unbelievable. Um, Wyatt Henson, Waynesburg, state champion last year, beat Sammy Hilgis in the regional finals and the state finals. And I think that kind of got lost in translation somewhere. I don't know. I just feel like that doesn't get talked about enough because, Sammy, I wouldn't say he dominated him at Powerade, but he beat him pretty soundly. And, Henson was just made some great adjustments in that regional finals. That was such an impressive match. But again, people were like, it probably won't happen again. And then it happened again in the state finals. And Sammy was, again, one of the top recruits out of the class of 2020. So if that means and Wyatt Henson beats him two times in a row, you would think that puts him at a pretty favorable position. I'd like to see Wyatt on the national level do a lot. I think that last year he wrestled Kenny Herman from Becca at the Ironman, lost to him, defaulted out, banged up a little bit, but when he needs to go, he goes.
You bring up Kenny Herman. That match they wrestled at Super 32 early in the season last year, and I remember that match was crazy. And then after that, I was looking forward to that rematch at Iron Man, and then I think if I remember correctly, Herman beat him pretty handily at Iron Man, or at least
That
it
was
was a
it was kind of close.
yeah,
It was kind of close. It wasn't as entertaining as a Super 32 match, but
yeah,
they were definitely scrapping.
yeah. And then like you said, him beating Hilligus really puts a stamp on it, and just I think is like we said before we started talking about him. Definitely makes a case for who knows. Maybe if he wouldn't have moved to Missouri, maybe if he would have won a state title in PA, would have been number one.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri winning a state title, in Missouri. While that's that's impressive. That it doesn't mean a whole lot for us in Pennsylvania, unless he was beating like a nationally ranked guy. But him winning states this year, I thought was that really propelled him
Yeah,
to. I don't see how you can't have Wyatt Henson in the top three, considering the quality of opponents, and that's why Lenny Pinto, beating the amount of nationally ranked guys there. I think that kind of speaks volumes to it. Same with Gary Steen; he won a pretty deep weight class with Unger and Joey Fisher there as well. So those top three, pretty sound guys. Pinto going to Nebraska, Gary Steen going to Pitt, Henson going to Iowa, and then you got AHR, Ali Hararo Rondon, and this is a guy who, probably he had been at the top of the list at the class of 2021 in the last update, but he drops down a couple spots, and I hate to be down on Ali, but you win a state title your freshman and sophomore years. You're thinking, okay, is this a potential four timer, right? That's what everyone talks about. You won two. Can you win two more now? And with Ali, he just got bigger. He got a lot bigger, a lot very quick. So I think he had to make those adjustments to wrestling at a higher weight. And let's not forget. I mean, he finished fourth in the state in a pretty loaded weight class.
yeah,
Um, that included nationally ranked guys, Gabe Willishell, Kenny Herman, Patrick Noonan, right? And he was right there with them with all those matches. I mean, he was so close.
yeah. Like you said, I was as you're talking about him there, I was thinking like just that was a pretty stacked bracket with those four guys, and if I remember correctly, the Noonan match went to ultimate tiebreaker, correct?
Yeah, that was an ultimate tiebreaker, and even that match with Willishell in the third and fourth place match,
Yeah,
that was a rematch of Powerade finals. That was a rematch of the regional finals, and Ali's a guy. He's committed to Oklahoma. I think while yes he's down from 1 to 4 in the rankings, that doesn't mean a whole lot, and it also really doesn't speak to the true sense of what we know Ali can do. Um,
yeah,
when I say that, I mean we saw him at a lower weight and we've seen success at a kind of a middleweight, but he has such a long frame and just I think he has a lot of room to grow. Um, I could see him being like a 49 pounder in college potentially, depending on if he fills out or not. And I think honestly, with his skill set, he's going to be very dangerous.
yeah. I agree.
You come in at number 5, and that's Trey Kibe, and he was a state champion as a sophomore, was a qualifier as a freshman. Sophomore year, he beat Clayton Rollery in the state finals, then took fourth last year again in that loaded bracket at 170 pounds. Actually finished behind Lenny Pinto, maxed out, and Dylan Reinhardt from Gettysburg, who's going to NC State. Trey Kibe, on the other hand, where's he going, Dyson?
VA Tech.
He's going to VA Tech. So originally committed to Penn State, flipped the script, and is now going to Virginia Tech.
Kind of sounds weird when I say VA Tech.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
roll off the
shouldn't
tongue.
have said that.
Voltech,
Yeah.
maybe like Voltech, something like that. Trey's joining Clayton Ulrey, the guy he wrestled in
Yeah.
the state finals 2 years ago. So, but I think he's gonna get bigger. I think he'll probably outgrow Ulrey. We could see him potentially a 74, maybe even 84. I don't know, depending on how big he gets. But Trey's a guy who probably, like Ali, wanted to finish a little bit higher on the podium this last year, but was just in a loaded weight class, and I think that's why you give the nod to Pinto and Steen and Henson before them. Brock McMillan's an interesting one at number 6 too, because he was 2-1-1. He's 120-8 in his career at Glendale. He's also committed to the Pitt Panthers. However, Brock is a guy who I don't want to say is the schedule, the strength of schedule obviously comes into play a little bit here, but I don't think we've seen. I don't know if we've seen Brock quite his best yet. I don't know. I just feel like, does that make sense to you, Dyson?
Yeah, like um, just like I think every one of these other guys we've said that they've had a loaded bracket last year at states, and can't really say the same for McMillan. I don't think he really hasn't really had a loaded bracket with with a couple big wins at states or anything like that. Those guys ahead of him, but definitely, I mean, you you probably could make an argument maybe with 2-on-1 for him to be up a little higher, but just like I said, maybe with no not really any ranked wins or notable wins, and like these other guys ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not necessarily his fault,
Yeah,
because Glendale's a smaller school. I mean, they do go to places, but Escape the Rock this year, like Escape the Rock, he got banged up, wasn't wrestling well there. Um, it's different when Allie's going to Ironman and Powerade, right? And Henson's going to Ironman, Powerade, Beast of the East. Same with Gary Steen, even Lenny Pinto, Powerade, Fargo. Um, so I think Brock just, by virtue of the fact that he's not seeing these bigger name guys, it kind of diminishes a little bit of that, which is again no fault to him, but I just think that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Jagger Condomiti comes in at number 7. He was a qualifier 4 and then 2. He was a runner-up last year in the state finals of Cole Handlovic. Those two went back and forth, 122 and 26 in his career. One of the guys that I know Rob Waltko and I are really high on. We just think he's got a lot of potential, just been very consistent, and I think he's gotten better in each and every year. He's going to Nebraska. He's going to be joining Lenny Pinto, 2 District 11 guys going out there with Brian Snyder. Two guys that I think he's excited to have coming in. But I think Jagger's a guy who probably this year is going to be a favorite to win a state title at whatever weight he decides to go to.
yeah, I'd agree with that. He like everything you said. He's just been. I like his upside, and I think he's got I think he's got a great career next year, and then excited to see what he'll be able to do at Nebraska as well.
For sure. And the first unsigned guy on this list is Nate Schoen from Selinsgrove, and he was 8-1-2 in his career, 8 as a freshman up at 220, and that's actually the year he beat Hunter Katka, and he took 8th in the state. Was a state champion last year, or I say last year, 2 years ago, I guess now, 2019. He was a state champion that year and was second last year to Dorian Crosby. So Katka was at 220 and 19, and he took third, and Schoen took first. The following year, Katka goes up to heavyweight. Crosby is now at, and Crosby took fourth that year. So they kind of switched. Crosby took fourth, Schoen took first, and then the next year, Schoen took second and Crosby took first. So those guys were just battling back and forth. I love it.
Yeah,
And Schoen, and I think Eric Knopfsnyder was talking about, like, after the regionals, Schoen
yeah,
had like a broken finger, busted nose, like just complete brutalized, and I think he's a warrior. So he came back, lost in the state finals, but 105-6 in his career. I think a lot of schools want to have him.
yeah. I'm excited to see where he'll land, and I think he's pretty good at football too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really good at football. Also was a baseball player. I don't know if he still plays or not, but definitely a really good football player. So I'm not sure if they're looking at potentially doing like a Gage Garcia route where he's doing both.
Yeah,
I would say, unlike Gage, I think Schoen's probably a little bit more. He's probably more better at wrestling than he is at football, or at least more recruitable in wrestling than he is
yeah,
football. But I mean, Garcia was playing on Southern Columbia. I mean, most of those guys are D1 commits. So,
yeah,
but Schoen's a guy I hope to learn soon when he is going to commit and where he's going to go to. Number 9 is Brent Unger from Notre Dame GP. He was a 6th place finisher in Jersey, a Jersey state champ. Then he came across the border to Pennsylvania, where he was 3rd in the state last year. He lost to Gary Steen in that semifinal match, came back and took 3rd. Guy who has a win over Steen, but really he's kind of like right there with Steen. So you can make the argument, well, why isn't he higher? He's heading to Cornell, and the fact of the matter is, he does have those two blemishes on his record. He's from Jersey, so he finished first and sixth in Jersey, and we have to punish him a little bit for that, right, Dyson?
Yeah,
You don't
Jersey.
you don't just come from Jersey and expect to just automatically be hailed in Pennsylvania. It took Ryan Anderson some time, took some other guys some time. So maybe Unger by the end of this year, he'll work his way up a little bit. Also, rounding out the top 10 is Carter Dybert from Franklin Regional. This is another interesting one because he was a qualifier 1 and then 3. Last year, he had kind of an epic meltdown there, losing to Dante Frenzy of Becca in the early rounds, quarterfinals. And, I think Carter, that was a huge setback for him. Coming in, I would say really as the favorite coming into the state tournament, returning state champion, had wrestled really well throughout the year. Powerade was a runner-up, lost to Gary Steen, but he had pretty much taken care of business with everyone inside the Whippeal, and then comes in and just, like I said, has that really bad loss. I wouldn't say bad loss to Frenzy. He just had a loss that a lot of people weren't expecting. He got upset. But he also had a really good Super 32. Last year, he took third in a pretty loaded weight class. And, I think Arizona State's a good fit for him. Obviously, having Zeke Jones down there and those guys that he's familiar with. His head coach, Matt Leby, very familiar with those guys. So, I don't know. I think Carter is looking for redemption this year.
Yeah, like you said, got upset there by Frenzy. And got to mention, after that match, Mark Billett took his the greatest pictures ever taken.
That was a really
Love
good
that.
picture. That was a
Love
really
that picture.
Yeah, Dyson's a big fan of the Frenzy picture. We used it for our combined 40 ranking, and you were just like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. It is a really good photo, though, because it's just Frenzy just, like, screaming, like, like.
I probably told Mark, like, 20 times the rest of that day, a picture.
Yeah, you really did. And, you look at the other 250, there's a lot of commits here, but there's a lot of guys who haven't committed yet. Colton Deary from Malvern Prep, another football wrestling guy, Ty Linsenbigler, Ian Oswald. You got Ethan Bergnick, the guy who won the state title this year. Isaiah Vance, his teammate.
Berging's actually committed to Army.
Okay, thank you for letting me know, because I
committed to. Yeah, he committed to West Point, I believe, sometime last week, maybe.
Okay, I must have missed that one. And yeah, I mean, there's some other big names on here. Joey Milano, Drew Cleary. I saw Cale Krebs committed to Navy.
Yep.
Jacob Lucas also to Navy. Malachi Duval to Navy. Navy's gotten a lot of good guys.
Navy's been doing recruiting as a whole. But
Navy, I feel like gets like 50 recruits every year. Like they just take everybody. And now that Kerry Colat's there, it's just like Navy's just like pouring it on with Pennsylvania. Now that you have Mike Evans, Kerry Colat there, I feel like Navy's just going to become kind of like a Clarion, where you just have guys just mopped up by them, just going there left and right.
I saw someone tweeted like a week ago or something. It's like, did I miss something? Is Army Navy in a recruiting battle right now? It seems like every day they're like each of them are getting multiple recruits, especially Navy. Like they're getting a ton of recruits, and then especially they got a ton of PA guys, like you said too.
Yeah, a lot of PA guys, and
recently.
Obviously that has a lot to do with Kerry Colat, I think. We got some wrestling coming up here too, Dyson. This weekend, right? Flow. I don't know if you've ever heard of Flow before, but they're a media company in wrestling. They've caught a lot of slack recently for some some mishaps that they've done, and we've had our beef with Flow before, so I'm not gonna I don't want to say that I was happy to see something like that, but it is what it is. One of the most intriguing matchups for me involves a Pennsylvania guy, and that's Luke Pletcher. Do you know who he's wrestling against, Dyson? You probably don't even know who he is.
I've only seen one match of him, but that was when he lost to Brent Metcalf. But did the backflip
when he lost to Brent Metcalf?
Oh no, he beat him. Yeah, He
I
beat him,
think
and then he did it back.
I think you got your facts mixed up there.
Yeah, I reversed it because I was thinking of Brett Metcalf losing to him because I was watching it because Metcalf was obviously a former Hawk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that probably upset you a little bit. So that was way before your time, right?
Yeah, when that was when would that have been? Probably was that like when did he wrestle? Before 2010 or was it
Yeah, that was
after?
before 2010. I forget
Probably
what
like
year it was exactly, but I think Pletcher and Caldwell. I mean, Caldwell's been in MMA for a while. He's in Bellator, and Pletcher, I think, was in fifth grade when
yeah, I saw that.
when Caldwell beat Metcalf. So that just kind of puts into perspective how much older uh, Caldwell is
It's crazy.
than Pletcher. Which I don't know. It's interesting because Caldwell, while we know he has the skill set, is he going to be in wrestling shape? Is he going to be in wrestling form? Pletcher didn't look great to me against Lugo, so yeah, I don't. Why are you cheering against Pennsylvania kid? I
Oh,
know like Lugo's your
I
boy.
love Luke Pletcher. Luke Pletcher is if Luke Pletcher was wrestling anyone else but Pat Lugo, I would be cheering for him.
Gotcha.
But Pat Lugo is my guy.
Yeah, you do like your Hawks. Yeah, so I think that's probably one of the more intriguing matchups, just simply by the fact that those guys are in completely different parts of their careers and where they're at and what they're doing. Luke obviously just getting out of college, never took a red shirt. Um, so and Caldwell obviously he's been out of the game for a while. Um, I don't know. That's a very interesting one to me. What's the headline here, Dyson?
Kyle Dake, Frank Tremizo, two-time world champs.
Yeah, yeah, and there's been some beef going on between them. I like it. A little bit of smack talk,
I
which
think
we're
I I think anytime Dake wrestles, you can expect some beef.
yeah. I mean, he's just not a likable guy. I mean, he's just he whines a lot. He just he's like I said, he's not a likable guy. But um,
You guys, you guys are always hating on Kyle
I
Dake.
don't hate on Kyle Dake. Kyle Dake is I mean, he's an amazing wrestler. But all I'm saying is, and he when you did a sit down interview with him, like I thought
Yeah, he's a great guy.
he's a great guy. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying like there are things that people will say about Dake, and that's he kind of complains a lot during matches. He kind of I don't know. Listen,
Yeah, I'll
I'm
agree
a
with you.
full
I
on
mean,
Dake fan when it comes to him versus
that
Chamizo.
the one FRL thing that he came on and talked and was like with Burrows or whatever,
Yeah,
like it was like because well, first off, Burrows didn't even know he was coming on,
right.
and then Burrows was actually trying to like talk to the flow guys like about some like the facts. Like he actually like brought like a note sheet or whatever about facts. Then Dake's just there talking about their upcoming match next year, just like blasting them and stuff. And
Yeah,
it was like
yeah. It
this
just
little
kind of seemed a little. I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe it's to boost ratings. God knows Flo needs it right now. But yeah, you look at Chamizo and Dake. That's obviously a huge matchup, not only for America but just the world of wrestling right now. Two guys that are multiple time world champions. When any time you have those two talents coming together, I'm curious to see. Dake's obviously probably working his way down a little bit, but what's the size difference there? You think? Is Chamizo
Yeah,
is he
because
gonna
Chamizo's going up and Dake's going down.
right?
So
So like where are they at? Where are they
yeah,
at on the scale of meeting? I'd be curious to see that. Miles Martin and David Taylor. Obviously, PD3 got booted out because he opened his mouth, and
it never closed.
gosh, I mean, ugh, I don't even want to say anything about that because it's just Dyson, you're how old are you now? You're 14, right?
14.
I'm pretty sure you're more mature and have a more screwed on head than Pat Downey. Um, it's just incredible the things that he was
Now watch,
saying.
he's probably gonna hear this and start blasting you on Twitter or something.
I don't maybe he will. I don't know. I mean, if he would like some advice about being an adult in 2020, I can help him. Um, it's just crazy to me, you know. So I thought David Taylor, if there's anyone he should be ticked off about, it should be David Taylor. David Taylor straight up eviscerated him by saying, you know, I didn't even want to wrestle him because he's not even a good opponent. I just wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah, that video, it
He,
was hilarious. I watched that thing like 5 times, just laughed.
it was a
He put
savage
out that
move.
video. He's like, when I took that match against Pat Downey, I didn't take it because he was a good opponent. I took it because I truly wanted to smash him.
Right.
And
I
he's like,
mean,
now that I have a good opponent, Miles Martin.
I better start training.
So,
You know.
yeah, it was hilarious.
I'm you know excited to see that match. I wasn't really excited to see the Pat Downey match because it was just a matter, unless they would have gotten rid of the tech falls and went
Yeah,
to
that would have
like
been hilarious.
7 minutes, it'd been 60-0. I'm excited for Mymar and David Taylor, just simply that Penn State Ohio State, and David Taylor has been so good up until that injury. Is he going to get back to form? Is he going to get back to where he needs to be? Miles Martin, though, he's been chomping at the bit. I like him, and I think that's now a pretty decent matchup.
I saw Martin was ranked 8th in the world by that John Kozak guy.
Mm-hmm.
He made that website or whatever with the rankings, and then I saw him. He made an explanation video because people were wondering why Martin is ranked so high, but he said because 74 is or 80 86 is just so crazy, and he just had a couple more. He was a little bit more consistent, so that's why he was ranked so high.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, I didn't know where those rankings were coming from, but and I didn't realize that Miles Martin had done so much in freestyle.
I can't even think of a international tournament he's been to.
Right, I'm sure
Like,
he has. I'm assuming he
yeah,
has, but um, that's one I'm excited about. If I had to rank him, I'd say Pletcher Caldwell, Dake Chemizio, DT, and Mymar.
one match I'm really looking forward to. It's that RBY Jack Mueller match.
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
I just think
I mean, their styles
RB,
are RBY is really fun to watch. His style
yeah,
is so much fun, so I'm excited for that. It doesn't. I don't know.
I
I,
think Mueller's really good at freestyle, or at least we haven't really seen him too much. But last year, I believe it was, yeah, it was that beat the streets in Madison Square Garden. I believe he might have even tech fold Piccinini, and he's got a real good chest wrap and head pinch. And then, like you said, the RBY's style is just crazy and fun to watch. So I'm excited to see how those two styles clash.
what about Sammy Alvarez and Vito Arujau?
You know that one, I
It's New
I don't
Jersey and New
really
York, man.
I don't really know what to think of it. But I if I had to, yeah, two young guys too. They're only still got 3 years eligibility left, both of them in college. So
Yeah,
did you also see that Flo put that thing of they put a screenshot of a fake Sammy Alvarez tweet. It was like a fake account, and it was they kept like using it as like a promotion, like it was actually him.
they got trolled. Well, they also
Yeah,
put they I don't know if you saw the promotional poster, but they put all the white guys on the one
yeah,
side and all
yeah.
the black guys on the other side.
And they got blasted for that, and
Not a
so then
good
they
look.
changed it.
Not a good look in 2020. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
They got some things to work on in the PR department. See, that's the best thing about being PA Power Wrestling is we are a company of 3, 4, 5, depending on the day, and
depending on what they.
we are headquartered in my unfinished basement, and um, we tend to not say stupid stuff on social media or try to act like we're something that we're not. So we don't necessarily always fall into those traps. The flow card, that is this Saturday, July 25th. That is going to be at 8 o'clock p.m. I believe that's Eastern Standard Time. It may be Central Time. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah,
And
probably Eastern. They
yeah,
usually list them in Eastern.
that's on Flow Wrestling. I believe they're giving a 20% discount too for subscribers. I've seen that floating around. We're trying to break out and diversify here at PA Power Wrestling, so be on the lookout for potentially some big news in terms of bringing on some diversity. Just gonna throw that out there. Dyson, anything else you want to talk about before we close this out?
I think we touched on everything. That was feel like it was a pretty productive show. We talked about the top 250, touched on the flow card a little bit.
Yeah, man, we had a lot of fun stuff to recap. We had we didn't really talk about the PIAA, the 13 weight classes down from 14. I think it's just almost
You've
like
already,
we've
you
we've
guys,
we've
you and Eric have talked about it a ton already.
yeah, we've talked about it at length. We kind of all saw it coming. We kind of just accepted the fact that it was going to happen. So it's almost like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we can talk about more about the implications a little bit closer to the season if we even have a season, to be honest. So, which I hope we do, Dyson, for your sake.
Yeah.
For your sake, man. Be on the lookout though for PA Power Wrestling with some cool stuff coming out. Dyson, until next time, man. Don't get too much older on me, okay?
I try not to.
Like Adam Sandler said, never say that again. You never want to go out of elementary school. Never want to go to high school. Okay? Stay a kid. It's much easier that way.
I think you've told me that a couple times now.
I have told you that a couple times. And it also doesn't help that a lot of people thought I was your father at States. Because that made me feel really old.
That was probably about 20 people said that.
Probably. All right, Dyson. Hey, good catching up with you. As always, check out PAPowerWrestling.com. Check out Rockfin for our latest content at PA Power Wrestle on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram. We got it all, Dyson. All right?
Yepers.
Later.
Rockfin, baby.